Welcome back to the Carolina Packers podcast. Today we're going to do a quick video on the early season review for the Green Bay Packers, which is my team. We just finished up a video and are going to post it to the channel on the Carolina Panthers and their early season review, which you can watch. We're going to do a quick one again for the Packers this time. So we're going to start off with just the overall reaction of both weeks. Week one of obviously the loss to the Vikings, and then week two, the win against the Bears. I obviously, as a Packer fan, I have some pretty strong reactions to both games. Obviously, week one, very negative to the loss against the Vikings. I cannot say I didn't see it coming. Obviously, with just how we've done in past years, not playing in the preseason and then being rusty on offense and just not performing well in the first game, it makes sense at this point. And then obviously week two, we performed very, very well, obviously. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah. Week one was really poor.
Yeah.
And I think it remains to be seen, I guess, ultimately by how the Packers play. But it's difficult to know how to factor in the Vikings week two into that week one performance at this point.
Yeah, because you look at the Vikings week two, and it's another one of those situations where you look at Kirk Cousins and look at his week one and say, wow, he's a good quarterback, great quarterback, really. And then you look at his week two and it says, okay, what do we make of Kirk Cousins?
Mm-hmm.
The Packers obviously made him look really well, and obviously they just decided not to cover Justin Jefferson week one and just
Which was
Jefferson.
a bold strategy, admittedly. You know what? If you want to do something that will shock the other team,
it's
just
not covering.
Do the least expected thing, and it's like General Burnside in Civil War, just doing the least expected thing. Attack at the point of greatest strength for the opposing team.
That's what you got to do.
Let Justin. They should have put no one on him.
Pretty much what they did,
and just hoped that he would be so baffled that he couldn't catch a ball.
And it's weird because you look at the situation and you would think that maybe halftime you might make a change or something, but no, we continue to let it happen, and of course he torched us.
We got a triple cover Adam Thielen.
Yeah, I mean it obviously not taking anything away from him. Obviously their weapons are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it shows in week two. I don't know if the Eagles have that great of defense. They have a good defense, but again, I don't think they're elite. Like the Packers, obviously going into the season, had very high expectations for their defense.
Yes.
And obviously week two definitely showed what they can do. And just holding the Bears to a, just terrible offense as well. But, I mean, you look at both, it's just night and day. It's so weird looking at both games and saying, oh, these were only a week apart. And again, it's different teams. I mean, you look at week one, Vikings, crushed the Packers and lost week two. But then again, you look at the Bears, and the Bears beat the 49ers.
Yeah, by 9.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, you look at the situation and think, okay, again, week one, it was a super rainy day for the Bears and 49ers. It just wasn't – it was a weird game. Bears ended up winning. And so you look at the situation like, okay, maybe they're a solid team. And then especially the Packers team that's coming off such a poor game, you would think, oh, maybe the Packers might go 0-2, which they have not done. They have, I guess, the second longest streak I saw. The number one longest streak is the Patriots for teams that have gone 0-2, right? So Packers have not gone 0-2 for quite a few years, which is a testament to who we've had and everything. But looking at the game, obviously you could see that the Packers would do well against the Bears. you could see that they could turn it around and stuff. And obviously, one of the pinnacle situations for that was Elton Jenkins coming back from injury, which is one of our offensive line. I don't know if you know who that is. Very versatile offensive lineman for the Packers. Was out majority of last year with, an ACL tear, MCL tear, one of the two. So he missed a lot of time, and it was great to finally get him back. And obviously, it showed with how Aaron Jones did and just how the running attack did in general last week. It just having the good, healthy offensive line, obviously, it makes a huge difference.
Yes.
We will not touch too much on the David Bakhtiari situation.
I was going to ask about that.
I know it's a very touchy subject for the Packers. We can talk about it a little bit. Obviously, as you know, he was out all last year. Even into, I shouldn't say all last year, he did play a little bit in the Lions game, which was meaningless, but all last year pretty much. And then the year before that, obviously got injured right after pretty much his contract extension. So he's hasn't played yet, had a lot of setbacks and stuff, and being as high paid as he is, taking a price cut or a pay cut was generous and stuff, but it's definitely a tough situation because we have so much more we want to do this year. Having him back would be such a huge step in the right direction. Obviously, like Matt LaFleur and everybody was talking about with Elton Jenkins coming back, he is a pivotal player, and I mean it's viewed that David Bakhtiari is one of the best offensive linemen in history. So having him back would obviously make a huge difference as well. So especially with how the Packers are going to probably mold their offense going forward, very run heavy with all the weapons we have, or with the two arguably top 3 tandems in the NFL, running back wise.
I agree.
We can design our offense around that, and obviously with having a great quarterback, again, don't have the weapons we want, but hopefully we can grow with them. Hopefully we can, take your time developing the guys, and then later when we actually need them, they can perform. Because sooner or later, we're going to come across a team that can stop the run and just shut it down and just have to rely on passing. And obviously with a great quarterback, you can get by with it, but if your receivers aren't getting open, not much you can do.
The one name that I saw that was a little bit of a surprise to me on the box score against the Bears, and it was a surprise only because of how much it is talked about that Allen Lazard is the number one, right, coming in, and how big of a loss Valdez Scantling was as being like a competitor for that. It was sort of not. It was not on my radar that Sammy Watkins was on the team. And I saw that he led with almost 100 yards, I think, receiving.
Yeah.
And admittedly, maybe he was not viewed as a number one because he was arguably a third or fourth option, potentially, on the Chiefs. But no one is really going to be a number one on any team that Tyreek Hill is on, except himself. When he left, I guess the only competitor, though, would have been Travis Kelce.
Yeah, and that's a pretty big competitor.
That's a pretty big competitor. So almost by default, Sammy Watkins was a number 3 against the best tight end in the league and one of the top 3 or 4 receivers, I think you can say, in Tyreek Hill. So Sammy Watkins, not that he's going to be necessarily the number 1, but he is a promising option going forward.
Oh, definitely. But the issue is injuries. Sammy Watkins has always been injured, but I will also add real quick about that stat. Sammy Watkins had a big play.
Yeah.
Had a big play, so the numbers might be a little skewed or whatever. Right. But yes, Sammy Watkins is a great target. Great. I think the Packers are more leaning towards like a wide receiver by committee, which honestly, if it was me, I'd love that. Honestly, like I get it. Devontae Adams was great amazing receiver, and I get that we miss him. 100% we miss him. But I think looking back, like, again, this is me coping, obviously, but he was always targeted. Yes. He was targeted all the time, and to a fault at some points. Like in the championship game in the playoffs last year, we went to him too often. I felt like Aaron Rodgers zoned into him too much, to where the defense kind of adjusted and stuff. And once that happens, he continued to go. We got burned. We would miss plays. Aaron Rodgers would try to put it in the perfect spot, and it would burn us. And so, yes, in general, taking a step back, I love that we have a team that he feels comfortable going different places to. And I feel like that's going to build, and I hope that builds, right?
Hopefully it's not a committee though where he could pass to everyone because they're all equally bad.
Yeah, that's not what you want. No, but obviously the goal is to have a lot of options for Aaron Rodgers to go to, and again, injuries are a major concern year in, year out. Obviously, Sammy Watkins has his history with injuries, and Lazard has his injuries in the past, and we have Randall Cobb, that's an older veteran that's on the injury list, or tight ends on the injury list. So we have injuries obviously to our weapons and stuff, and as you know, they're not spectacular, well-known, like amazing weapons. So we're already dealing with kind of lower end wide receivers. We can't really deal with injuries because our backups are practice squad or not even on other teams at points. So it's like we have Romeo Doubs and stuff like that. We have other wide receivers that can go out and make a play or whatever. But the consistency is such a big thing, especially for Aaron Rodgers. He needs the trust with the wide receivers. And with the drops that we've had and always had, it feels like he needs to have players where he can trust it. And hopefully that becomes, Sammy Watkins or Lazard, or even going back to Cobb, where he feels comfortable, has that, relationship where he can say, okay, I know where the ball's going, if something happens, if it, breaks down, I can dump it off. I will even add the running backs. Running backs are going to be huge.
Aaron Jones is a good pass, catching.
And both of them. Yeah. Dylan had a great, I'm pretty sure it was week 1, just in general, not even just week 1, but he's just a great receiving threat too. Like both of them are. So being able to scheme for them as well, breaking them out wide, because those are probably your 2 best options on the offense. And so you want to have them in at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And so if you do even like a split set, or have Dylan in the backfield and have Aaron Jones split out wide or something like that, or both in the backfield, whatever that may be, I feel like just utilizing them more is so beneficial. And then hopefully that gives time for the receivers to develop, to learn. Because, I don't know if you knew this, but our number 1 receiver, or second round draft pick, was Christian Watkins. Watkins. Yes, Watkins, sorry. He was injured for the preseason. So he wasn't really getting reps with Aaron Rodgers. And
this is his preseason.
This is his preseason, exactly. So he's still dealing with the injury too. So it's just it's a tough situation. Hopefully the Packers can move past this. But
because it is a question, I think, on how significant that Bears win is.
Yeah.
How good are the Bears?
But it is significant in the fact that we were even talking about with the Panthers. A win's a win at this point.
A win's a win.
You need a win. And so it's like you need Packers needed it to feel better. And again, Packers have had 13 wins each of the last, I think, 3 or 4 years.
This week will be a big test.
Yeah, but also it's like we've always lost week 1. Like we've always lost week 1. So you're talking like 13 wins out of their next 12 or 15 games. Right. So it's like, okay, again, we don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And obviously I want to believe that the Packers will get 13 wins, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this year is going to be a little step down and maybe be beneficial. I don't see them missing the playoffs, but I think it's actually going to be beneficial to them to not be the number 1 seed because they've been number 1 seed. They've had the buys, if not number 1, and obviously it's not done enough. So maybe playing in the earlier wild card round and getting that,
keeps them in rhythm.
And I've always thought that. But I mean, you can even see in the preseason not having the offense play like Aaron Rodgers. I understand you want to keep it healthy, and that's just the LaFleur way of keeping them protected. I don't know what it may be, but obviously not playing in preseason is not doing well in the regular season week 1.
Yep.
Like, it's almost embarrassing. Like, I understand, like, okay, rest your guys, get the backups reps and stuff like that.
But who would you rather work? I don't understand it because it's like, would you rather work them into game shape against the backups in the preseason?
Yeah.
Or have them hit the, field for the first time against the heavy hitters?
But even then, like, even in preseason, I'm not asking for them to play the full game.
No, just a
like,
quarter.
At least a drive or two, like, just to get in the rhythm. Okay, feel it out. This doesn't work. This works. Like, just play ball. Play competitively. Because obviously in practice they're playing against each other and playing against a good defense and stuff. And the Packers have a solid defense, but you need that difference. You need a change. You need to test yourself against other teams. Like, I really believe that they should play in preseason. Obviously, injuries happen, and you don't want that to happen. But in the end, it's like, what we need to play preseason. We can't keep losing and just automatically saying, okay, we're going to start 0-1. Let's just go from there. We can't do that. It's going to burn us. Like, one game could be, beneficial in the end.
Right.
And it goes, again, Vikings are a good team, right? Vikings are a solid team and all of that kind of stuff. And they're going to be in the playoff mix by the end of the year. So it's not like a bad loss, but it's at that point, it's just how we perform and how we play and how we grow. Like, because that's a learning experience, right? So it's like you take that game and go from there.
I think it's more just how many points they put up.
Yeah, and it's discouraging too. It's like you look at the situation, it's like, you work so hard and throughout the whole entire offseason and you think you're going to be a great team, and then all of a sudden that happens. It's like you second guess. Luckily the next week we played a Bears team, maybe that was riding too high or whatever, or just better than them, but we played well and were able to win. Yep. But then again, this week comes up, we play the Buccaneers. And it's a toss-up, really, because the Buccaneers haven't been playing too well, but then again, they're 2-0, right? And they have a bunch of injuries. They have suspension, obviously, to Mike Evans. He's not playing this week.
That's right. That's a big loss for them.
That is a big loss. And so, really, they don't have many wide receiver weapons that they can go to. Obviously,
they'll run a lot.
They'll run a lot and perform well there, and they have a good defense, but this is the test for the Packers, really. Against a solid defense, really go back out there. Hopefully, they shook off the cobwebs. Yeah, shook off the cobwebs week 2 and kind of got into a rhythm, kind of found themselves, and just perform now. Just start to perform as a team. And again, a loss this week isn't a bad thing as long as they're growing, right? Yes. And that's the thing that you have to look at, right? It's, okay, learn from the mistakes. Learn from it and not just say, okay, let's panic, because that's what a lot of NFL fans do is when their team doesn't perform well.
Panicking is part of the fun.
That's part of the fun. You have to panic at some points.
Panic early, panic often.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at the talk around the league with like, okay, or at least for the Packers, because I don't know, you might not know this, but like we have a higher standard sometimes. So,
what's that supposed to be?
Oh, sorry. No, but we, I mean, I've seen some blogs or whatever. Just people are going crazy already. And it's just like, it's 2 weeks. We're also 1-1. Like, they went crazy over the Viking game. Did they not see what's happened the past years? It's like we always do poorly
your eyes.
and then just do really well.
Yeah.
And again, it's gonna be a little different this year without Devontae, but like I still feel like we're a solid team that can perform well.
I think you're a playoff team for sure.
And
It'll
that's-
just be a question of how deep of a playoff team.
And that's the thing is like as a fan for the past couple of years, you look at the situation and think, okay, you know, we're gonna make the playoffs, and that's the worst thing about it. I shouldn't say the worst thing about it, obviously, but looking at it and saying, okay, the end all goal for us is the Super Bowl win.
Mm-hmm.
That's obvious, but like we're gonna make the playoffs most likely, unless you know something happens. Knock on wood. But what's after that?
Well,
How deep is the run?
And in recent memory, I mean, we've seen a couple years ago, the San Francisco 49ers made it all the way to the Super Bowl in an offense that was, I would say, almost entirely carried by a running back duo paired with a solid defense.
Yeah.
And so you've got, well, the question marks, I think, are there about the defense right now.
Mm-hmm.
What should be a solid defense? If
Mhm.
they fix whatever problem they're having that
Yeah.
let the Vikings just run all over them, if the defense can be solid, you have what might be, if not the best, one of the best
Browns.
running back duos. Yeah, okay. I would
Yeah.
say the Browns
Yeah.
are number one, but you're probably two.
Probably 2 or 3. Yeah.
Two or three. Who
I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head, but yeah, 2 or 3. I'd say 2 or 3 just to be safe. Because
I would say two because
maybe
I can't,
maybe Colts.
but that's mostly just Jonathan Taylor.
Naheem Hines is pretty good.
Yeah, I guess
I'd say they're probably pretty close to us, if not.
I would say as a duo, a true duo.
Yeah.
I would say it's got to be the Packers because it's
Yeah.
mostly Jonathan Taylor and then Hines catches.
Yeah. But I mean, there's no. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think it's safe to say they're top 3.
And Aaron Rodgers is a much better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo, but are
It's
the
just-
weapons there? Jimmy
it's-
Garoppolo
yeah.
had George Kittle,
George Kittle and all
Deebo
those. Yeah.
Samuel. So
I mean, they have weapons over there, and that's the thing, right? It's like you look at the team and you're like, okay, solid team. Let's see where it goes now.
Yep.
Right. Let's see what the next step that they're gonna take on in this game. Like, you know, let's see what happens.
Yep. And this week will be a big test.
Exactly.
This week, and then there will be
Weeks to come for sure.
some lighter games in the schedule. It's a soft first half.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's we'll see what ultimately happens with the team. Obviously, I feel like they're gonna play fine. I think they're gonna get into a groove. I think there's nothing at this point to really worry about.
Yeah, I agree.
But
No point panicking,
no point in panicking. I think.
but it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I'm very excited. That's for sure. Well, thanks for watching. Anything else?
Thanks for being here, Evan.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, and